What's going on today, YouTubers? Welcome to another edition of Walking Reviews. Today we're going to be taking a look at a custom knife from a gentleman named Peter Rassenti. This is the Druid, and it is an integral flipper. So Mr. Rassenti is known for integrals. I think all of his custom knife models are integral knives. I know he's done a pretty popular collaboration with Spyderco, which is his Nirvana. So the Spyderco Nirvana is based off of his custom integral Nirvana. The Druid, though, probably my favorite offering from Peter Rassenti. It just has a really unique look to it, as well as a great blade shape for EDC, which is, you can see this Wharncliffe blade. So let's go ahead and get into these specs before I get too far ahead of myself. 3.5-inch blade of CTS XHP. So that's Carpenter Steel's like top of the line powdered metallurgy stuff. Really great edge retention. Super high corrosion resistance, all that good stuff. I'm trying to think of what I would place that on par with for CPM. I believe it's comparable to Bowler's M390, but I'm not 100% sure when it comes to CPM which steel that it would compare to. Probably their top of the line steel. Anyways, like I said, it's a Wharncliffe style blade, but the blade spine here, you can see, is just like that gently rounded, no harsh lines, no weird angles, just that really gentle arc. Almost looks like somebody took a slice out of a circle. And then boom, there's your edge. It is hollow ground from about half of the way down, and then you can see this top swedge, which is, I believe, a flat grind top swedge. Not that it really matters, but the main bevel here has a grinder satin finish. Same thing on the flats, although the directionality is perpendicular. And then again, the matching top swedge. So this thing has a really great edge on it, which, I mean, for a knife that has such a utilitarian blade shape, I'm glad that he took the time to kind of pay attention to the edge. I've had a few knives lately from custom makers that did not have any kind of edge on it, which is really disappointing when you get a knife and instantly you've got more work to do. So anyways, so yeah, 3.5 inches on the blade. Handle length is 4.5 inches for an overall length of 8 inches. Apologies for the water. It's just raining/rained here, so it's gonna get a little wet. But yeah, 4.5 inches on the handles. Obviously, as an integral, it is machined from one solid piece of titanium, and he did an excellent job. I think I mentioned this in the Reich knife review, their integral. Making an integral doesn't necessarily do anything for the knife, like strength wise or performance wise. It's more of like a, hey, I made this knife on hard mode and I still killed it. So it really is kind of a novel. I shouldn't say novelty, because that's like saying, you know, something really hard that a sculptor would do is a novelty. It's an exercise in perfection, or in extreme attention to detail and tolerance. And then you can see here, he's got carbon fiber inlays that are completely seamless. So even just the inlays in the knife are extremely tight tolerances. There's a orange G10 pivot collar on the show side, not on the locking side, or yeah, the locking side here. That is Mr. Rassenti's maker's mark on the lock bar relief, and he doesn't have any other, nothing else is written on the knife or anything like that. Yeah, so you can see he's done the double carbon fiber inlays on the show side, and then the single carbon fiber inlay on the locking side, with the pocket clip kind of taking the place of the carbon fiber inlay, I guess, on this side. It is a 3D milled titanium clip. Carries extremely well. I kind of like this contouring that he's done with it. It's not just straightforward. This is the lanyard hole, I guess. But when the knife is closed, it doesn't give you a whole lot of room. So maybe that's just there for something else. I don't know. It could be a lanyard hole. It could be just something he needs to do to machine the knife. I don't know. I'm gonna guess that it's probably not a lanyard hole, just based on how close the blade sits to that part of the knife. Fucking spider webs in my face. Yeah. So weight on this knife, for an integral that's 8 inches long, he did pretty good. It's 4 ounces, or just over 4 ounces, I think 4.1, which very pocketable. Even at this size and with an integral construction, it's still nice and slim. It's not, when the blade is closed, it's not too wide either. So yeah, just giving you kind of an idea of the profile when it's in your pocket. One thing I will say, sorry, gotta get that spider web out of my eyes. One thing I will say, this was a kind of an issue I had with that Reich knife. If you go back and look at that video, allowing the butt of the handle to end in a sharp edge, or not, I shouldn't say sharp, pointy is a better word, to end in a pointy edge. I took, let's see if I can show it. I kind of took a stone and just ever so slightly rounded the pointed part down here, just because for someone like me who likes to play with the knife over and over again, and this has really smooth, this does ride on caged bearings, so yeah, extremely fast and smooth flipping action. But for someone like me who likes to play with the knife repeatedly, having a pointy handle digging into your hand when you're trying to do that can get a little distracting, a little annoying, I guess. I will say as well that the flipper tab, I guess because he didn't want to do any jimping on it, if you're doing a push button, that can be a little pointy as well. But if you're doing the light switch, which it flips perfectly great with the light switch, then it's not an issue. So yeah, I did take this knife apart, believe it or not. I decided to see how everything fit together, and he's got little pockets milled out of the interior of the titanium handle so that the bearing washers can sit inside the handle, and yet you still get tolerances like this. Extremely tight tolerances, because again, there is internal milling here for those bearing washers to sit on. Fit and finish is immaculate, perfectly centered. Like I said, these carbon fiber inlays are absolutely, you can't feel them there. You just cannot feel them there. So it's just an aesthetic addition. Again, with the pivot collar, that white stuff in the pivot there is for my pocket. It's just dirt. What else did I... Oh yeah, so this is again not a ding on the knife, but it's something I thought I would mention. The pivot, basically there's a little sleeve that the two pivot screws both made into, and that goes through it goes through the blade. So you can, if you want to, change how tight each side is. Like if I were to loosen up the show side here 4 turns and then tighten down the locking side 4 turns, it would still be, it would basically, it would just pull the sleeve one direction or the other. So I thought that was an interesting way to do the pivot. There you can see that is the blade stop, the stop pin. You can see it when it's open, and it's just, you can just barely tell the difference between the handle and the stop pin. And again, that is perfectly flush. You can't feel that at all. When I did take the knife apart, I never took that out. Basically, you just take out the pivot screws here and kind of pull the blade out. It's kind of wedged in there with the bearing washers. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Ergonomically, extremely comfortable, so comfortable. The butt of the handle doesn't come into play at all, and I love the feel of this knife in the hand. You don't want to go too far up here onto the swedge because it does get a bit thinner. But if you just sit your thumb back here and lock your hand in there, extremely comfortable. And then great knife to use. You can get your finger all the way up. That's one of the benefits of that Wharncliffe style. You know, get your finger all the way up and do your controlled cuts, stuff like that. So excellent work from Peter Rassenti. I expected no less for the money. I paid, I think, $900 for this. I've seen them go for a very basic Druid from like $700 up to, for a very dressy one, a few $1,000s. So I think that's it very much depends on the materials used. What the hell is going on with my... That lighting is really weird. Anyways, yeah, I better wrap it up here and figure out what the hell happened to my lighting. Excellent knife from Peter Rassenti. As far as value goes, I think if you wanted to try an integral, I would go with like that Reich knife first, and then maybe if you find out that you really like them, give something like this a shot, because this definitely is better than the Reich, but I don't know that if you're not a huge integral fan, you'd want to spend that extra money to get the minor improvements. So, all right, guys, that's going to do it for this one. I'll catch you on the next one. Take it easy.